Hello， 大家好，欢迎来到洛杉矶华资讯网的直播现场，我是主播莉亚。近年来呢，儿童近视发病率呢，在全球范围之内都在持续的攀升，尤其是华人人群当中更为普遍。那根据研究显示，亚洲地区的近视率高达80%以上，而在美国呢，华裔儿童的近视问题也是日益严重。那很多家长都已经发现，孩子年纪轻轻，甚至有的5、6岁就要戴眼镜了，而且度数年年飙升，不仅影响学习生活，而且对未来的视力健康也会埋下隐患。那么在这样的背景之下，角膜塑形镜，也就是我们所熟知的这个 OK lens， 逐渐成为了控制儿童近视发展的热门选择。但是呢，市面上品牌众多，佩戴方式也不同，包括配镜还有检查维护一些流程呢，家长可能也不是很清楚。家长如何去选择判断配镜当中哪些关键指标会影响到结果？那今天呢，特别邀请到洛杉矶华人市区以及湾区华人社区最为信赖的眼科专家，来自高登眼镜 Golden Vision 的 Dr. 梁。那梁医生呢，他所在的高登眼镜呢，实际上在35年之前就创立了。高登眼镜的团队呢，更是在 OK 镜领域积累了超过1万例的成功案例，是名副其实的行业专家。今天来为我们讲解。首先呢，先欢迎梁医生来到我们的节目现场。Hi, Dr. Liang. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning. So first, we talked about ortho-K lenses, and just for a quick recap, how exactly does ortho-K work to control the myopia?
So what we do with ortho-K is a customized lens that's fit perfectly for your eye. We have to first measure all the different measurements, the parameters, which includes the curvature at all 360 degrees of the front cornea. We have to measure your prescription. Sometimes we'll measure the length of your eye. And then we will have to order a custom lens that fits right perfectly to match that curvature. And people will often have a misconception that it's actually pushing down on the eye and flattening the eye to change the prescription. That's actually not true. It uses something called hydraulic forces. So there's parts of the lens that are kind of steep and parts that are kind of flat. And the steep part actually pulls pressure away. And actually by that, it gently helps to smooth out the certain part of the epithelial cells, which is the very thin, very surface part of the cells, and that helps to reshape and remold the eye to correct for prescriptions.
Got it. Thank you so much. I always thought it just reshaped the cornea so that the prescription changed, but actually it's not true. Yeah. You kind of like reshape the endothelial cells. So
yeah, the epithelial cells. So that's the front surface part. And also it is doing it through different curves. So when you think of a lens, it's not just a single curve, a radius of the lens. Within a single lens, it can have 3, 4, 5 different curves that all change at different rates to basically cause the right type of reshaping that we're looking for.
Got it. Thank you so much. We talked about ortho-K lenses and what age, but people have the concern that ortho-K lenses could be costly. So people wanted to know different brands that are approved by FDA in the US, and are there any key differences? How do parents choose from them?
Yeah. So I mean, that's a great question. I think definitely if you're comparing ortho-K to a regular contact lens, it's going to be more expensive because it has to be made in a completely different way. So imagine you go outside and you try to buy a pair of shoes. There's 100 pairs of shoes made the same way for everybody, for the entire population. So when you buy it, it's ready-made. But now imagine you're going to buy a pair of shoes, but you have to custom make it. So someone goes there, they measure your foot, they measure the size, the length, the width, and then they take a mold of it, and then they send it in, they make it for you, and then they come back again, and you go, you try it, you go, it doesn't really quite feel right here on the side. I'm gonna have to remake it again. And we may have to do that process multiple times, which makes this lens completely different than any other standard soft contact lens or any other correction, really. So, of course, it's going to be more expensive, but I do want you guys to know that there are different brands with different parameters, and they fit for different types of eyes. And our job is to make sure that we find you guys that best solution to give you guys the best visual outcomes. And that there are different price points for different lenses too. So depending on what your priority is, if you're looking for FDA approved versions, we have that. But I can tell you also that FDA approval doesn't come cheap. It requires a lot of clinical testing, a lot of extra work on that company to go through that process, which is very long and can take a company a lot of money to do. So those lenses that are FDA approved tend to be more expensive. If that's your priority, though, you're like, I want to make sure it's healthy and safety approved by the U.S. government, which is probably the most strict regulatory board in the world, then of course we have those options. But if you're looking for if price is your major concern, then there are other options and alternatives that we can suggest as well.
Thank you so much. So does the different brands of lens actually affect the outcome? Like people, if my priority is like looking for good results.
So I would say that our priority is always looking for good results. We will find whatever way that matches your priority to give you that best result. So you don't have to worry about getting good results. That's our job, right? But yes, definitely I would say different brands have different designs in the lens. And so our job is to know how those lenses and different designs will affect your outcome at the end. So for instance, if I fit a patient in one type of lens, one brand, and I feel like the lens fits too tightly, I might change them into another brand of lens that has something called fenestrations. So those holes will allow for more tear exchange. It can loosen the lens fit. So that can result in a completely different outcome. So it's really technical if I start to go through all the different differences in each brand of lens. I don't think that's the best use of the time, but I can definitely tell you that the brands have different outcomes.
Thank you so much. So this is summertime. I know you guys are pretty busy, like kids are not in school right now. So what is like, you know, how long they could get the lens from measure and getting lens? Because you talk about it's like custom made. So,
So each one has to be ordered. So pretty much we usually quote our patients, it takes anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks. It kind of depends on the brand and manufacturer. I've seen it come as quickly as a week. But usually typically 2 to 3 weeks.
Got it, thank you. So will we monitor the performance of the lens? So I do see parents ask about, hey, I went to a Ortho-K lenses, a practice that provide Ortho-K lenses services, but they didn't measure my kids' axial length, so that they're not sure if the lens works or not. So parents are actually they research so much. So any ideas on the axial length to measure the outcome? So
first, I think that we want to talk about, if we're talking about measuring outcomes, there's 2 really good ways to do that. One is axial length, which is the measurement from the front surface of the eye to the back surface. And that length, typically, when we start out with normal ranges, we want to be about 22 millimeters, right? But that grows and it changes naturally, right? Just like our bodies grow and change, especially when you're a child and you're going through adolescence, right? So there's a typical growth period, I would say, that's fastest before age 10, and then slows down a little bit between age 10 to maybe 16, 18 years old, and then continues to slow after that. So axial length can be looked at as one measurement of how well we're doing at controlling the prescription, and the other one is refractive error. So essentially that means what your prescription is. And you can actually measure outcome and effectivity with either or both of those measurements. Now, if I have 2 of those things, I think that that's most accurate, because the axial length measurement doesn't require you to respond. It's an objective measurement. That means all I have you do is you look at a light in the machine, we measure it, and we can tell you without you having to say, which one is more clear, 1 or 2? And sometimes kids can get that wrong. Sometimes they're sleepy. Sometimes they're not fully, invested in that question. So there's a little bit of error when we measure that with a refractive error. But then we can also measure refractive error, and we can tell you whether or not your vision changes through that. So just because an optometrist or another doctor doesn't necessarily measure axial length doesn't mean that they're not tracking progress. Right? It's just another way of doing it.
Got it. Thank you. So normally, actually, it depends on the age, right? So before 10 years old, probably like grow faster, and after 10 years old, probably like faster. And some kids might have something like temporary nearsightedness and whether that can be controlled like by ortho-K lenses or not? How do you know that it is temporary nearsightedness or not, or it's like forever one?
So I think when you mean temporary nearsightedness, there's one condition called pseudomyopia.
Yeah.
Right? So pseudomyopia happens when the focusing system, the muscles in the eyes kind of, when you're a kid, is overactive. Right? So they kind of they spasm and you can't control them very well, and actually that can give you for a short period of time blurry vision, and when you measure it, it looks like myopia or nearsightedness. But we can actually use drops in office. There's medications called cycloplegics, which basically help to paralyze those muscles, and thereby we can check for sure whether or not you actually have myopia or not. So when we do that test, it will knock out the accommodation system, and we can take out that completely, and we can tell you for sure.
Thank you so much. And ortho-K lenses probably will cause sort of like dryness, and dryness may cause your vision blurry. So when you like measure kids' eyes, like prescription, how do you like differ? It is the blurry actually caused by the dryness, or is like the myopia control problem?
Yeah, great question. So there's so many things that can cause dryness or blurriness. And you're right, dryness is one of those things, but we do something called a fluorescein evaluation on every follow-up with ortho-K. So what that means is I put a yellow dye in the patient's eyes, and I use a cobalt blue filter that will highlight dryness. So from what I see on the microscope, it basically looks like little green dots. And those dots will tell me if that patient's eyes are excessively dry. And if it is, we will absolutely treat that dryness and make sure that that's not one of the causes of the blurry vision.
Got it. Thank you. I know Golden Vision has been in the industry for 35 years, and your uncle, which is the Golden Vision's founder, had been helping children for like many years. So in the past decades, is there anything that you guys observe that is getting severe, or people should concern about it, and people should pay attention to? Any ideas on that?
Yeah, definitely just the amount of near work that kids are doing. And near work is everything. That's anything that's within arm's reach. So if you put an iPad in front of them to babysit them, if you let them look at their cell phone too much, play video games, computer games, even reading and studying, right? So that's the problem, is that your eyes don't know the difference between reading a book or looking at an iPad or watching your cell phone. So all of those things, the more you do that, and now kids are doing that more than ever, that's going to increase the prescription and progress myopia faster. And that's why we're seeing just myopia become a huge full-blown epidemic. And this especially was accelerated by the pandemic. So everything moved remote. Everybody got used to doing everything up close. School assignments are now oftentimes assigned online on a computer screen. So kids, sometimes they don't have a choice. They have to look at things up close. Right? And parents want to encourage their kids to read. They want to encourage them to study. But unfortunately and ironically, that is one of the contributing factors to worsening their prescription. But then, of course, kids will also play and do extracurricular things. And so that continues to add on to that problem.
Thank you so much. 那非常感谢今天梁医生能够来到我们的节目现场。那实际上梁医生呢，他会讲一些的普通话 and Cantonese, right?
Yeah.
Cantonese, Mandarin a little bit.
Yeah.
And 如果你是有这个中文方面就需求，或者是说您英文不太好的话，除了带懂英文的家人可以来到 Golden Vision 之外呢 ，Golden Vision 的医生还有他们的工作人员实际上基本都是 bilingual 的，所以呢大家不用太担心。那同时呢，在加州有9个 location， 包括南加、北加、San Diego 都有门店，您可以呢亲自到店内呢去做 ortho-K lenses 这个测试哈。那现在尤其是暑期，也是孩子放假的一个时间哈。那如果是在这个时间呢，一个是很多孩子都会来，所以呢一定要提前预约。然后呢，通常预期呢是2到3周的时间能够等到这个 OK 镜。然后再一个呢，也是能够在这段时间让孩子去适应一下，比如说培养好的这样的维护的习惯以及清洁的习惯，这样能够给 OK 镜的这个佩戴，让它的安全性增强，以及有过更好的有效性。那如果大家感兴趣的话，都可以扫描屏幕上方的2维码联系 Golden Vision， 或者是呢直接谷歌地图搜索 Golden Vision 的门店来打电话进行咨询预约。我们下期节目当中呢将会讲述更多有关于近视控制的黑科技镜片啊。那除了 OK 镜之外呢，还有一些其他的，也欢迎梁医生下次做客，谢谢。
好，谢谢您。
我们下期节目再见。